The Sharingan versus the Six Eyes? Isn't this obvious? What's up, guys? I'm here, and we are to do a nice little breakdown / live reaction review to Sixes. Sharingan versus Six Eyes, the better eye. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I saw this pop up in my sub box, and I was a little bit bamboozled. Notably, because I feel like this answer is low-key kinda obvious, but maybe I'm delusional. Maybe my mind is lost. We got a 17-minute and 38-second video here, so there's obviously a quite decent chunk to talk about. So, let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me, are you ready? 3, 2, 1... go.
Specialized exist.
What's up, guys? So that guy with a pencil here. Fun fact, I do have to come here. Have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact. Before we get into the video, I'm not gonna let him hit the intro. We're gonna get into this real quick. It has to be the Sharingan, right? Right? Like, don't get me wrong. The Six Eyes are really, really good, and how they interact with the power system and the specific ability that they're paired with is fantastic. The way the Six Eyes essentially allows the Limitless to be used, I'm not going to say at all, but like to the level that Satoru Gojo can use it and other peak Limitless and Six Eyes users can use it, is fantastic. And obviously, if you were to transplant the Six Eyes to pretty much any other character in the series, they aren't gonna not like it. The Six Eyes gives you advanced perception, extreme, not like extreme, but like super duper extreme efficiency to the point where you basically have unlimited cursed energy, the ability to, I think, what was it? I think it was established that you can use the Six Eyes to read the flow of cursed energy, which allows you to easier break down cursed techniques, all this stuff. But like, the Sharingan, while being extremely inefficient, well, not extremely inefficient, that's more so the Mangekyo and its upper variants, but like, the Sharingan in base is broken. From the ability to use Sharingan Genjutsu to either take over, in the case of some higher level Genjutsu users, or just subtly manipulate your opponent through simple eye contact, to the ability to read your opponent's movements in advance through your advanced perception, to the ability to, I don't know, copy other ninjutsu and or taijutsu and or any other ability you see using the Sharingan, like I don't know, it feels like the Sharingan even in base clears. Heaven forbid you start to get into the Mangekyo abilities. Like, don't get me wrong, I can agree overall that the Six Eyes gives better perception and is overall much more efficient, but like, if you had to ask me which one I prefer, since I look weird with either, I would definitely just take the Sharingan. It allows for everything the Six Eyes does except for the efficiency and like the super advanced time perception. So I'm very interested to see how Six ends up playing this up as like a decent discussion. Let's see. But I think it is purposeful that he uses the base Sharingan, because like once you get to the Mangekyo, other than the fact that you go blind, which is a very big thing, I will admit, it's unfair. Heaven forbid you start getting the Rinnegan in there. Like that's not even a competition. But let's see.
Specialized exist in a lot of different anime and manga. The Kurta clan Scarlet Eyes, the Uchiha Sharingan, Shinigami Eyes from Death Note, and the newest addition to this trope, Gojo's Six Eyes. Both the Sharingan and Six Eyes are integral parts to the stories they appear in, and due to them being so suited for combat, it's only natural that I compare them to see which is better. For this comparison, I could use a few different metrics, but the most...
Okay, he's about to get into the metrics. That's actually a good point, though. They are both extremely important. If I had to take a guess, which one is more important, though? If I had to lay down the gauntlet and think, I would probably say, to the fundamental establishment of the series, unless you count the Rinnegan as a Sharingan variant, you probably have to go with the Six Eyes, just because of the Six Eyes' historical implications and how much they affected Gojo, who has massive effects on the narrative of Jujutsu Kaisen as a whole. The Sharingan in and of itself is important as a descendant, as a break-off of the Rinnegan. If this were the total of all the Jujutsu, not the Jujutsu, all the Dojutsu and its entire lineage, from the one Tomoe all the way up to the multi-Tomoe Rinnegan, then I'd have to say the Rinnegan. But then again, I'd say like maybe overall, because like some of the most important characters in Naruto, the plot, no, I think I actually have to go with the Sharingan. Because once again, it's more prominent in terms of its usage in the Six Eyes. For one, you know, Gojo's in a box. for majority of the series. And whenever he's not in a box, he's barely doing anything. But he sets up for a lot of the series as we know it today and allows for both of our main characters to survive, which is very, very important. But at the same time, the series legit can't happen without the Sharingan in Naruto's case because of Obito. And him taking over the Nine Tails and ripping it out of Kushina and taking it under control and attacking the village and getting rid of Minato. Like, that's all reliant on the Sharingan. Sasuke as a character is reliant on the Sharingan. Itachi as a character is reliant on the Sharingan. And these characters all have big, massive money moves. And of course, Madara evolves to the Rinnegan, and technically Nagato is Madara's Rinnegan, but still, that evolved from the Sharingan. The Sharingan is so essential that I'd say overall, just due to its quantity and the quality of its appearances, that I think the Sharingan still ends up taking the cake over the Six Eyes. But once again, that's going to happen. Naruto's a much longer running series than JJK, and the characters who wield the Sharingan are much more inherently prominent to the narrative. Unless you count Gojo as the deuteragonist of JJK, which I do see some people do from time to time. The Sharingan is Sasuke's main ability. Our deuteragonist. His main ability, who we spend half of Shippuden with, is the Sharingan. And we literally follow his journey of development with it. So, like, the Sharingan goes crazy. Let's see.
Interesting ones are definitely general combat applicability and the importance they hold to the story. Before we get started, be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as I greatly appreciate it. I am subscribed.
The first speaking of, I will be yapping extensively. If you couldn't tell, the video is 17 minutes long. I will be here for longer. Please check out the link to Six's channel. It'll be linked in the description down below. And check out the link to the original video. Six is a fantastic content creator. He's about to hit 100K. Do what you gotta do. Get him up there. If you head over there from here, tell him Pencil saying, you know, the regular degular. And let's actually hop right back into the video.
I'd like to make clear is that the same way every Sharingan user isn't as good as Madara, Obito, Itachi, and Sasuke, every Six Eyes user isn't as good as Satoru Gojo.
One thing and that is one thing I really, really like. The series is never as explicit. It never lays it out. But actually it kind of does. There is no other Satoru Gojo. There never was, and there most likely never will be. He is the first person to take the Limitless in the Six Eyes to that level. Which I do like. I do like. Once again, he is very, very important. He does have a bunch of narrative weight. He is quite monstrous indeed. But once again, in comparison to the Sharingan, come on now, bro. It's too different. It's too different. And once again, ironically enough, while the Six Eyes do facilitate Gojo Satoru's brokenness, it's not the main. The main thing that makes Gojo Satoru broken is the Limitless and all of its abilities. The main one being Infinity. But of course, that is once again facilitated by the Six Eyes. So the Six Eyes, who knows how long Satoru Gojo could uphold it, considering, you know, how cost ineffective it is without the Six Eyes. So the Six Eyes are still important for making Gojo Satoru as strong as he is. Undeniably. But if you were to take away one or the other, which one would weaken him more? It'd definitely be the Limitless. Gojo Satoru without the Limitless, while still unbelievably powerful and still an absolute monster, a beast, and a demon, as we see in Shibuya, you know what the real danger is. Meanwhile, the Sharingan is the Sharingan. It's a plot necessity. You cannot remove it at any point. It will cause problems. Let's see.
Being said, these are a genetic gift on the side of each family, and I think a comparison between them is only fair if I take the eyes at their maximum use case. For the beginning portion of the video, I'd like to focus on the base 3 Tomo Sharingan, so just keep that in mind as I'm discussing.
So if we're leaping into higher variants, if we're leaping into Mangekyos, maybe we won't cover Rinnegan. Rinnegan is very explicitly not noted to be a Sharingan. Like, it has the Gon at the end besides the Byakugan. It is the 1 Tomo, 2 Tomo, semi-Tomo variations in between, the 3 Tomo, then the Mangekyo, then the Eternal Mangekyo. But notably, they are all classified as Sharingan. I wonder if he's going to go all the way up to Rinnegan. Because once again, I mentioned it before, Rinnegan just makes this entirely and infinitely unfair. At least in my view. But ironically enough, like I already mentioned, in both narrative weight and actual applicability, heck, even the base 3 Tomo probably blows the Six Eyes out of the water. At least in my opinion. In terms of which one is better, which one I would take, give me the Sharingan, bro. Come on now. Come on now. Well, let's see.
the next part, and I'll bring the Mangekyo into the mix later. Combat applicability.
Okay, we're just going to Mangekyo. That's good. That's good. Once again, the Rinnegan is kind of a separate eye. But still, if we're going to Mangekyo, come on now. Tell me what 6 Eyes ability is beating Kamui. The Susanoo? What 6 Eyes ability? Just 6 Eyes. Remember, the Limos and the 6 Eyes are 2 separate things. What is beating that, dog? What is beating? Nothing. Not the 6 Eyes, bro. Not the 6. Realistically, what is beating the hypnotism of the base Sharingan? Not the 6 Eyes. Let me tell you that. Blessing.
A somewhat broad topic to cover, so let's start with a boost you'd expect to see from a special eye, which is enhanced perception. The Sharingan's enhanced perception comes in different ways, but probably the most popular is its kinetic vision. A user of the 3-tomo Sharingan can view their opponent's move ahead of time and either set up a counterattack or dodge accordingly. This isn't completely perfect, however. If a Sharingan user is much slower than the person they're fighting, there's the possibility this just won't matter. I will say that the gap in speed has to be pretty large in order for this to happen though. After awakening a larger portion of the Nine-Tails chakra, Sasuke was getting completely overwhelmed by Naruto's speed, but after awakening the 3rd tomo in his Sharingan, he says he can now see what he couldn't keep up with before. Not only can Sasuke now keep up with and track Naruto's movements ahead of time, he's accurately setting up counter strikes that Naruto is running into. The Sharingan does have another edge in its kinetic vision, but this edge comes with a weakness. The Sharingan's kinetic vision works much better if the opponent they're fighting is moving in a linear fashion. Wild, unpredictable movements like how B was moving in his fight with Sasuke don't cancel out the Sharingan, but they don't let it work as effectively.
That is true. That is one thing about the Sharingan. And that is always interesting, right? Notably, just because of how powerful Satoru Gojo is, the advanced perception of the 6 Eyes is only used against him. Like, it's very specifically used against him by Kenjaku in order to get him sealed in the first place. That's the main point where the advanced perception of the 6 Eyes is brought up. But, yeah, for the Sharingan, I wouldn't say it has it to the level of the 6 Eyes because of the necessity for linear movement, or at least, not necessarily linear, but less complicated movement. As Six just said, the more chaotic the movement is, the less effective this is. And this is especially crazy to think about. Because while the 3-tomo was able to drastically make up for a massive speed and overall stat gap in the fight with Naruto and Sasuke at the Final Valley in part 1, with B, having 8 swords and moving rapidly, the Sharingan was struggling to keep up. This was MS Sasuke, by the way. So, like, the non-linearity of Sharingan prediction is a little bit rough. And the fact that it can be possible for your opponent to still be faster than you, you can see how they're going to punch you in the face, but you still can't react to them punching you in the face, is a little bit sad, I will admit. But I still think it's made up for in other ways.
The Sharingan also has the ability to see through hand signs and see chakra as a color. The latter might not seem too impressive at first, but microscopic bombs that are smaller than cells appeared as a giant cloud to Sasuke because of that ability, and it ended up saving his life in his fight with Deidara. The former was pretty impressive earlier in the series, but with hand signs shortening a lot later in the franchise, the need to see through them became less and less important. The Sharingan can also see and discern viruses, shown by Sarada in the fight between Team 7 and Boro. One of the more important and I think slept on abilities of the Sharingan is the ability to see the chakra flow of your opponent and how much chakra they have. This makes bluffing against the Sharingan user 100% impossible, as they can tell if you're lying about how much chakra you have left. Getting to the last of the Sharingan's perceptive abilities, the eyes also...
That's also very interesting. It's a part that, just due to how most Sharingan users match up and who they're going up against, rarely gets brought up. Because, like, realize most Sharingan users end up fighting, like, Jinchuriki. Look at Sasuke and Naruto. Or they fight people who are on, like, Jinchuriki levels of chakra. Like your Akatsuki members or stuff like that. Notably, it's very rare for a Sharingan user to fight somebody who doesn't have, like, Biju comparable amounts of chakra. MS Sasuke, when he pulled up on, well, 5 Kage Summit Sasuke, who did he pull up on? The Raikage. What did the Raikage have? Biju levels of chakra. He fights Naruto, Biju levels of chakra. He fights B, Biju levels of chakra. Like, everyone always ends up having extreme amounts, to the point where I think this panel here is, like, the main point where the whole chakra amount thing ends up being viable. Because most of the time, their opponents either just don't have a limit, or they have limits, but like very hard to reach limits and wouldn't bluff anyway, and or it's a little bit too late to be relevant by the time it's brought up in a fight. Unfortunate. Though the ability to see on the microscopic level is very, very impressive. Like, especially considering it's Sarada who does it, who at this point does not even have an MS. I think by that point, she have 3 Tomo? I think the anime she has 3 Tomo, but I forget in the manga if she has 3 Tomo still. But Sharingan is cooking right now.
The user the power of mimicry. Sasuke was able to copy Lee's taijutsu moves after seeing them only once, and the Uchiha police accused Itachi of being able to copy Shisui's handwriting, and last but not least, the Sharingan is able to see through illusions. This is best displayed in the fights between Itachi and Kurenai, and Itachi and Sasuke. Kurenai attempts a genjutsu on Itachi, and he sees directly through it and reverses it on her. In Sasuke versus Itachi, they go back and forth.
I do, because he did kind of just hop over it. The ability to copy the movements of somebody by only seeing them once is crazy. Like, the fact that the Sharingan allows you to do that essentially means if you're fighting someone with comparable stats to you, you can just beat them up with their own move kit. Because you now have seen it, observed it, downloaded their entire fighting style into your brain, and just you can fight back against them faster. Because remember, the Sharingan, if you're already relative in stats, the Sharingan, if it's at 3 Tomo, will give you an edge. Because you'll be able to see the future. And you'll already have their entire move kit downloaded. Meaning you'll be able to read and start stacking your perception. So you know how they're fighting based on what the information the Sharingan gave you on their fighting style. Plus the advanced perception you already have by just having the Sharingan. It's like, once again, the Sharingan's stupid. The fact that character is able to combat it at all goes to show how crazy the Sharingan is. Because it's usually the ways they have to combat it is either straight overwhelming it with raw numbers and or just being massively stronger than the wielder of the Sharingan at that point. And the ability to see through illusions is also very, very good. Though, admittedly, it seems almost exclusively a perk relegated to Naruto characters. Because Naruto characters are consistently throwing around genjutsus and illusions. Illusion casters, while they are somewhat common in other series, there's usually only like 1 or 2 of them. Meanwhile, in Naruto, they're like around every corner. You always have at least like 1 genjutsu specialist per team or something like that. Where you do have other Uchiha running around who are able to come in and cast genjutsu. So, still impressive.
At the beginning of the fight, battling with genjutsu, with both of them seeing through the other's illusion multiple times. Moving on to the 6 eyes, they are less impressive in some areas of perception and more impressive in others. For example, here's the thing, it comes to a question, right? I think it's the 6 eyes. Because the Limitless allows you to manipulate curse energy down to the atomic level, but we don't, I forget if it's atomic or subatomic. The 6 eyes facilitates that, I'm pretty sure. But the Limitless is what allows the manipulation of it. But in order to manipulate something, you must be able to perceive it, and that perception needs to come from the 6 eyes. And the 6 eyes, seemingly enough, has better perception at the lowest, most granular level than the Sharingan. Because once again, it goes down to the atomic level. Versus the Sharingan, which seems to peak out at around microscopic, which I know sounds really, really tiny, but atoms are even smaller. So for the 6 eyes users to be able to perceive that, very, very good. Thing is, though, it doesn't necessarily mean all too much. Because, like, notably, they don't ever split atoms. And by they, I mean Gojo. We haven't seen another Limitless user. But, like, Gojo never ends up, like, directly targeting an atom with a microscopic blue to cause a gigantic atomic split, detonate. Like, we just never see something like that happen. Which leads me to believe that while they may be able to perceive and manipulate curse energy down to that level, they can't really, like, do anything all too insane down on that level. If I had to take a guess, once again, I may be completely wrong. Maybe Gojo will be able to do something like that, but he was able to see through curse techniques and what they do with his 6 eyes. This page from the Jump Giga 2022 claims he can see the intricacies of curse techniques. This might not be too far off as he picks apart Bagman's curse technique during hidden inventory. The 6 eyes also allow you to see curse energy extremely clearly, but a good...
Notably, the thing is, though, that always comes into question, because, like, Gojo clearly didn't see through Maharaga. He didn't see through Dismantle or anything of the sort. It didn't even look like he saw through domain amplification. So the Six Eyes being able to parse through any curse technique, either it's outdated or just wrong, because it doesn't, which is unfortunate. If it did, then who knows what Gojo would have been able to realize in the Gojo versus Sukuna fight.
Question people had upon knowing Gojo possesses special eyes is, why does he wear a blindfold? The author of the series, Gege Akutami, answered this question in the JJK fan book, saying even covering his eyes, it's like he has high definition infrared vision. Even objects that have no cursed energy can be made out by remnants of cursed energy or the flow of cursed energy around them. So if he's not covering his eyes, even while he uses reverse curse technique to keep his brain fresh, it's a bit tiring for him. If a normal person wore Gojo's sunglasses, it would be completely black and they would be unable to see through them.
This was always strange to me, though. At least, once again, this goes back to his scaling sense. We consistently argue that Gojo has, like, unlimited stamina. If so, why does he get tired? And, like, we know he can be fatigued, at least somewhat, because remember in Shibuya, when he removes the many transfigured humans, the 1,000 of them, he's actually breathing heavy at the end of it. So, like, Gojo actually having unlimited stamina is questionable. He has an unlimited mana meter, but it appears his body still does have, like, base limitations and stamina that need to be compromised for. He doesn't actually have unlimited. But once again, that's more debatable. The reason it's important is because it then proceedingly adds timers and limiters to what Gojo can do, based on whether or not he'll get tired, and how much physical exertion is required for Gojo to get physically tired, even if, like, curse energy-wise, he's still topped off. Interesting. Do you guys think Gojo has limited stamina? And, like, anytime he's described as getting tired or fatigued or anything like that, it's, like, minor, if not irrelevant, and or just physical fatigue, not curse energy fatigue? Let me know.
In terms of actually seeing, this is very impressive. It essentially means that blinding Gojo would never happen. Gojo is also able to perceive the soul, but this is only a special thing within Jujutsu Kaisen. Normal people in Naruto can see souls within that universe, which is confirmed when everyone sees the souls from the Edo Tenseis leaving their body.
Yeah, that is kind of unfortunate. A lot of Naruto characters kind of, like, somehow, I mean, not somehow, it's just an established part of the universe. Like, it's a thing in Seven Sins too. It's actually somewhat a thing in Manga as well. A lot of characters, usually, soul perception isn't actually that unique an ability. Soul interaction typically is more unique. Like, for Seven Sins, for example, the only species that are confirmed to have, like, direct capability to interact with souls are, like, demons and goddesses. And for Naruto, in order to, like, directly interact with the soul, you need something like the Reaper Death Seal or the Rinnegan's Human Path. But yeah, in JJK, soul perception is special. And notably, the soul perception seems to be something that needs to be done actively for the case of Satoru Gojo and the Six Eyes. Like, remember, he didn't notice Megami's soul nor the wheel above it until he, like, stopped and looked for it. Meaning that the Six Eyes sort of has, like, levels of focus to it that you need to essentially tweak and zoom in order to see certain things. Nothing is necessarily passive with the Six Eyes when it comes to the deeper levels of perception. The user needs to seemingly enough be active with it if the Gojo vs Sukuna fight is any indication.
Within Jujutsu Kaisen, normal people in Naruto can see souls within that universe, which is confirmed when everyone sees the souls from the Edo Tenseis leaving their body. Unfortunately, as far as perceptive abilities go, this is the end for the Six Eyes, which I think makes it pretty clear that the Sharingan takes this round easily. Not only do they have more perceptive abilities in terms of a number, but they have a higher quality perceptive abilities with their kinetic vision, mimicry, and illusion see-through. The Sharingan can also see chakra similarly to how the Six Eyes see cursed energy, albeit clearly not in as much detail. In the matter of stamina, the Six Eyes completely destroyed the Sharingan though. Due to his possession of the eyes, the amount of cursed energy Gojo uses on any given attack is almost zero, so he can never run out of cursed energy. This is to the point it allows Gojo to run reverse curse technique on his brain all day, giving him almost limitless stamina and the curse technique potential to cast over 5 domain expansions in a single day, while constantly spamming his curse technique and the stronger applications of it like blue, red, and even 2 purples, one which was launched at 200%. While most of these techniques,
and it's notable, and this is sort of a thing for Gojo's stamina, it's at least implied that if he hadn't forced his curse technique to refresh faster using RCT, if he hadn't rushed the process, he could have kept going. Like, there's nothing, like, if Gojo had spaced out the 5 domains, and then had given the, who knows, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or however long it takes, in order for his technique to refresh. Like, remember, Mahito, after popping his 0.2 second domain, had his technique refresh in, like, a minute. Like, it didn't take too long. So, if Gojo had, like, organically waited, it's implied he could just keep spamming domain. And purple. And blue. And red. Like, there's no, at least with the 6 eyes, based on how little his curse energy expenditure is, we know he has less cursed energy than Yuta, but he has efficiency beyond Sukuna. And remember, Sukuna casted numerous barrierless domains, used numerous Shikigami, was spamming Cleave and Dismantle, was spamming Domain Implication, was spamming RCT, and after all he went through, he only lost about half, if not a little over half, his curse energy. Which is crazy to think that Gojo's even more efficient than that. Meaning, I'm not going to say he basically has no limits as long as he waits and is patient with it. But the limits, I don't think, can really be quantified by the Gojo versus Sukuna fight, because he explicitly did something self-harmful by consistently re-upping his curse technique forcefully with RCT. Gojo may just have no limits.
Are Gojo exclusive?
I guess you could say he's limitless. I'm sorry.
Developed for his fighting style. I don't want you to think that's what I'm attributing to the 6 eyes. The 6 eyes merely provide Gojo with a stamina boost, and I was listing the attributes of it. The Sharingan does provide the user with some stamina boost, contrary to popular belief. While it is true it takes chakra to keep them active, Sasuke mentions that due to his advanced eyesight, he'd be able to conserve his chakra. Though this is a far...
Yeah, it's still a far lesser thing. The main reason, and like I make this mistake too all the time, Kakashi's the main reason why a lot of people think the base Sharingan has a lot of drawbacks. It's because he's not an Uchiha. Notably, the Uchiha, they like, a lot of them kind of treat the Sharingan, or at least somewhat. It's mainly Itachi. It's Itachi. But like, Itachi almost treats the Sharingan like a base state. Or like how demons and Seven Deadly Sins treat Demon Mark, where it's kind of just always on. We rarely see the base Sharingan, at least, cause taxing amounts of chakra drain, except for Kakashi, who literally isn't an Uchiha. And he thusly burns way more chakra because he can never turn it off, nor optimize it, nor anything like that. Until the war comes, of course. So yeah, the Sharingan, it's pretty good. And once again, I will give credit to the 6 eyes. It is better than the Sharingan for stamina maintenance, because the main thing that Sasuke quotes here is that since he's able to predict Naruto's movements and fight better, he can waste less energy, overall wasting less chakra. But the 6 eyes very explicitly actively lowers one's chakra usage. It does. There's no extra steps beyond, not chakra, their curse energy usage. There's no extra steps beyond that. Meanwhile, something like the 6 eyes, no, something like the Sharingan does have extra steps. If you still can't fight, you aren't saving any more chakra. You're still losing chakra on keeping the Sharingan active.
Cry from the stamina boost provided by the 6 eyes is something I have to mention regardless, so we'll give a point to the 6 eyes in terms of stamina.
Yep. Okay.
Now to talk about general abilities each eye has. The Sharingan gives you access to multiple techniques that are mainly genjutsu based, which in and of itself is an ability. If I was to name every genjutsu, I'd be here forever, so let's just take a look at some of the more powerful ones. Demonic Illusion Shackle Stakes. This is the genjutsu that Itachi used on Orochimaru. Anyone caught in the world of the mind created by the caster finds himself tormented by a feeling of having stakes driven into each of his 4 limbs and becomes completely unable to move freely. Since the victim experiences the illusion of physical pain at the same time, this jutsu is very effective for torture. One of the Sharingan's most useful abilities is the Izanagi. This jutsu can effectively be used to delete damage or anything disadvantageous to the user from existence. Using this jutsu, Danzo effectively became immortal against Sasuke for 10 minutes. It does come with the steep price of losing a Sharingan though. Danzo, who has Hashirama cells, can keep the jutsu active for 1 minute at a time. While it's possible Obito can keep it active for upwards of 5 minutes, but definitely no more than that. Izanami is the other.
Izanagi in of itself is really dumb. Like, stupid dumb. Because remember, it can be used by base Sharingan users. Of course, once again, the cost of losing an eye is horrid, especially considering Sharingan users heavily rely on the Sharingan. But, like, the ability to just flat out cheat death, have a second life, have a 1-up. That's crazy. Like, the ability, like, imagine if Gojo had an Izanagi type ability, after he gets sliced in half, he could say, "Nuh-uh," and then just come back to life. That's what Sharingan users can do, if they realize it in time, and if they know about Izanagi. Of course, Izanagi is a relatively rare jutsu, but it's still something that it was widespread enough that numerous people knew how to use it. It was a widespread Sharingan ability to the point where Danzo knew about it. So Izanagi plus the basic genjutsu goes crazy. And of course, there's the, like, if we're just counting every single genjutsu that someone used a base Sharingan for, remember, Obito used a base Sharingan genjutsu, at least assumedly, to control a perfect Jinchuriki. You know that thing that's not supposed to be possible? Yeah, he did that with the base Sharingan. You know, he controlled the Nine Tails with the base Sharingan. Well, he was 14. Bro had barely any experience in life, and he was still able to control the whole Nine Tails. Bro was a creature. He was an animal. He was a beast. And that's what the Sharingan affords. It's control, like, notably, the Genjutsu is really, really good, like the shackles that he just mentioned, but the ability to control people and overwrite reality are just things that you can do with the Sharingan. It's just possible. You just have to be wary of it, because it can happen. It can happen to you. It can happen to anybody. That's crazy.
Genjutsu activated by the Sharingan, and it basically forces you to be true to yourself and accept your original destiny. It was created as a way to stop Uchiha from abusing the power of the Izanagi, and just like that jutsu, it comes with the steep price of losing a Sharingan. Considering the only way we know to get rid of the loss of light in these things is to evolve them into a Rinnegan, I'd say 7 out of 10 times these abilities aren't worth using, but they're still abilities nonetheless. The Sharingan
Izanagi's, like, he's right. He is 100% right. The main reason you would ever want to pull out Izanagi is if you literally died. Like, you might as well. At that point. That's the only time you do it. You don't want to pull out Izanagi in regular combat. You just don't. Neither Izanami. Because even the loss of one Sharingan, especially if you've evolved it already to a Mangekyo, is massive. Especially considering, in the case of Itachi, I forget which jutsu he lost by using Izanami, but, like, he either lost Tsukuyomi or Amaterasu. Either of which are really, really good abilities on their own. So it's a hefty cost. It's not no easy sacrifice when you give up Izanagi. But, like, if you play it right, if you do like Obito did, cast Izanagi at the exact perfect right time, you can catch an op right off guard. And whoever just took your life just lost theirs. The only reason Danzo lost is because Sasuke was overwhelmingly more powerful than him. If you're in a high diff fight with somebody and they actually manage to get a dub over you, psych a lot, and you immediately get the dub back. It goes crazy.
and also has access to mind control through genjutsu, as Obito was able to keep the 4th Mizukage Yagura under his control for years without anyone noticing. What I'm about to bring up isn't...
Once again, we glaze over quickly. That's insane. Yagura was a perfect Jinchuriki, meaning that Obito, using the generic Sharingan, didn't just keep Yagura under a genjutsu, a Kage level fighter, but he also kept a whole-tailed beast under genjutsu for years! Years! With the base Sharingan. Crazy. Just flat out mind control. He basically pulled a whole Mangekyo ability with the base Sharingan. Like, you remember Kodomatsu Kami? Ain't got nothing. Ain't got nothing on Obito's base Sharingan Genjutsu.
Necessarily a 6-size ability, but the 6 eyes are required for this ability to be used. The Limitless Curse technique is a manipulation of curse energy done at an atomic level. It requires extreme bring up isn't necessarily a 6-size ability, but the 6 eyes are required for this ability to be used. The Limitless...
To be fair, that's not true. You can use the Limitless without the 6 eyes, and you can have the 6 eyes without the Limitless. Because remember, Gojo Satoru was rare because he had both. That implies that there are others born with one or the other. The previous one before Gojo was 400 years ago. But the Limitless and the Six Eyes individually can appear. And notably, Kenjaku's always noted to be stopped by the Six Eyes, not the Limitless. So you can't be born one without the other. Though the Six Eyes unlocks the full potential of the Limitless, and the Limitless gives purpose to the Six Eyes as the pinnacle of each respective ability. But if we're going to combo the Limitless into a discussion of the Six Eyes versus the Sharingan, then it becomes a lot more even, I'll admit, especially considering the upper limits of the Limitless, if you can master it properly, and if you unlock every aspect of the system and are able to use it appropriately, and if you can optimize it to the level of Satoru Gojo.
This curse technique is a manipulation of cursed energy done at an atomic level. It requires extremely precise cursed energy control, and therefore can only be done by a person that has the Six Eyes.
Hold on, let me see. Curse technique can also be hereditary. The Limitless Curse technique is an example. So is there anyone other than Gojo, the strongest character in the manga? If only we know who could use Limitless. The answer is yes. However, you see, yeah. So like, it's not like even JJK mentions it in this volume extra. Let me read the rest of it. However, Limitless is extremely difficult to use and requires sophisticated manipulation of cursed energy. Even though there are other sorcerers with the possibility of using the Limitless Curse technique, Satoru Gojo is the only one who can use it because he possesses the special eye. So yeah. You can use it, just not as efficiently. As JJK himself says. The Six Eyes unlocks the full potential of Limitless, but there are previous Limitless users. They'd just be blue merchants, though. If that. They still suck. I'm not gonna lie, they wouldn't be at the level of Gojo. But heck, even the previous Six Eyes Limitless user wasn't at the level of Gojo. Gojo is the only Gojo to ever Gojo. Or Satoru is the only Satoru Gojo to ever Satoru Gojo. But you can't have the Limitless without the Six Eyes, just as you can have the Six Eyes without the Limitless. It's crazy. They're nowhere near as effective alone as they are with each other. And honestly, you would probably want to transplant the Six Eyes in somebody else before you transplant the Limitless. But still, they're good.
Not to spark a debate, but there is some controversy surrounding if someone without the Six Eyes can use the Limitless Curse technique, and I'm here to tell you that they cannot. Most people try and get around this by saying that there are other people who can use it, just not as efficiently, but nowhere is that implied on any of the pages that mention the Limitless Curse technique.
Isn't it right there, though? Curse technique can be hereditary. The Limitless Curse technique is an example. So is there anyone other than Gojo, the strongest character in the manga, who can use the Limitless? The answer is yes. Is that it? Like, I don't know. Doesn't that just mean yes? I don't know. Maybe I'm tweaking. The answer is yes. However, Limitless is extremely difficult to use and requires sophisticated manipulation of curse energy. Even though there are other sorcerers with the possibility of using the Limitless Curse technique, Satoru is the only one who can use it because of the special eye. Okay, I see what he means. Okay, I see what he means there. In the sense that, like, no one other than Satoru could use it. People can have the potential for it, though. Okay. I can leave with it. I can rock with that.
Let's mention is that while there are other sorcerers with the possibility of using the technique, the only one who can do it is Gojo because he possesses the Six Eyes. This is because, theoretically, it is possible if someone could have curse energy control on an atomic level, they should be able to use Limitless. But Sukuna, who is literally the greatest cursed energy user of all time, can't manipulate cursed energy with the same level of efficiency as Gojo's Six Eyes, meaning even he couldn't use the Limitless technique, which he says himself. Another way to cope is saying that it doesn't make sense for the Gojo clan to be relevant if a Limitless user is born once in a while. They shouldn't be one of the big three families. This isn't true either, as the Six Eyes is necessary for the fate of Tengen in the Star Plasma Vessel. The clan is literally protected by fate, and that's why they stay as one of the big three families, even without a Six Eyes or Limitless user always existing. There is also the fact that even the Six Eyes don't automatically give you the most efficient use of the Limitless Curse technique. Gojo still had to train and learn to use it better. There are also a bit of mistranslations out there concerning this topic, so down below in the description I'll leave a Google Doc link that fully breaks down the original kanji and explains that the Limitless Curse technique is unusable without the Six Eyes. This will be the last point of comparison, and you can call it petty if you want, but I see it as a genuine advantage where you can swap out Sharingan to other people if need be, but the Six Eyes don't seem to have the same benefit.
That's the funny thing about the Six Eyes. We don't know what happens to them. Like, once again, in Naruto you can kind of just pop eyes in and out, in JJK, that's never really implied. And if anything, it's implied that the six eyes just leave. Like, they vanish once a user of it dies. Because if not, why didn't Kenny possess one? Like, like if it was that easy, why didn't Kenny just possess a six eyes user? He would have tried it, but he never did. So I think the six eyes just straight up dip if you ever slaughter a six eyes user, and then they'll spawn again later. So it'll be crazy.
The reason I'm saying that is it stated Kenjaku had unalived at least one six eyes baby and never went to take his eyes. Even if for some reason he didn't want the limitless curse technique, I consider Kenjaku a pretty smart guy, and him having access to eyes that literally reduce the amount of stamina used on any given attack by 99.9% seems like the obvious play, but it seems like he's never even tried it. Now that we're done with that, we can move on to the Mangekyo Sharingan and explain why it absolutely clears anything the six eyes could ever hope to accomplish. The downside.
That man is speaking absolute facts. The Mangekyo mollywops the six eyes. Honestly, the base Sharingan still mollywops the six eyes. Like, I'll be real. Like, even after that W praise for the six eyes and the clarification, I appreciate the clarification. I didn't realize that. I always could have sworn. I said it before, and I guess I was just flat out wrong. I guess you can't. You could have the potential to use the limitless, but you just can't use it without the six eyes. Dog. Vaga. Every single of the six eyes in of itself. Once again, he added the limitless to be kind to the six eyes. You remove the limitless, and the six eyes allows you to see curse energy real good and lowers your curse energy expenditure to 0. What if you don't have a technique though? Uh-oh. The six eyes don't come with one. Ruh-roh, Spaghetti-o. You lose. Meanwhile, the Sharingan alone. Hypnotism. Mind control. Genjutsu, illusion creation, copying of abilities, stealing of jutsu, stealing of fighting styles. Cool red eyes. It's a wash. Then you add the Mangekyo, which just levels up everything to 45. And also gives you a unique ability, some of which include actual straight up space manipulation, where you break the fabric of reality, and or if that isn't good enough for you, guess what you could also have? The ability to summon a black flame that goes out never. You get immediate access to the Susanoo, a gigantic chakra avatar, which you can imbue your abilities into, and or you could get a crazy level. Like, there's so many things you get with the Mangekyo that it really becomes unfair. And once again, I get why he isn't including the Rinnegan, because I'm just
to every Mangekyo before obtaining the eternal variant is eventual blindness, although in some cases other Sharingan deteriorate faster. For example, Kamui, when being spammed by Obito for over 16 years, did not make him go blind, but Sasuke went blind after using his Susanoo and Amaterasu for a full day. I have somewhat of an answer to this, and I think the Susanoo causes more blindness than any of the other Sharingan abilities do. Obito points out this overuse of the Susanoo as the reason Sasuke had gone blind, and it would explain why neither he nor Kakashi ever went blind, and Kakashi only began losing eyesight later on in the war arc. When Sasuke did go blind, it seemed to all hit him at once, and it was directly after evolving his Susanoo to a later stage. And not just any later stage, but the stage we saw Itachi's at during him and Sasuke's fight, where he was also on the verge of blindness. Aside from this, most people attribute Obito's lack of blindness to Hashirama cells, but those have never been stated to have healing powers for your eyes and isn't hinted at anywhere in the series. I'm not saying it can't be true, just that it's not really evidenced by anything in the original manga, and it's also not like it contradicts with anything I'm saying now. So both of these things, that being the Susanoo makes you go blind much faster and Hashirama cells heal your eye, can be true, so it's not too bad to still believe in it as a theory. Aside from that though, I think it's pretty clear that different Mangekyo abilities have different levels of degradation. I don't want to sit here and explain all of the different Mangekyo Sharingan abilities in detail, because we all know what they do. Tsukuyomi lets Itachi put you in a genjutsu that messes with your perception of time. Kamui lets Obito phase through things and absorb anything he's touching into the Kamui dimension. Kakashi's Kamui lets him snipe things from a distance and bring them into the Kamui dimension, and it's described as being unable to be evaded. Amaterasu is hot black fire. Kagutsuchi gives Sasuke the ability to control that fire. They're all pretty busted, and when both Sharingan are combined on one person...
The sad thing is, despite Sasuke being the deuteragonist, his Mangekyo abilities suck the work. Like, I don't, like, don't get me wrong, Amaterasu is cool, and controlling Amaterasu is cool as well, but, like, in comparison to Tsukuyomi, to Kodomatsu Kami, to, gosh darn it, Kamui, like, it's just, it's not a fair comparison, and, like, if you go with that, like, not filler, the game scene, where Madara just has the ability to turn back time, I guess, that's also way, way better. Like, I don't know, I feel like Sasuke kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to Mangekyo abilities in particular. My boy got done dirty. Okay, you get the black fire that older brother had. Cool, what's my other unique ability? You can control the black fire. I don't know. I'm not gonna lie. It low-key feels like he should be able to drop the ball on that one. Because it's not like Itachi couldn't control it. Well, he couldn't control in the same way or the same high level that Sasuke does with Kagutsuchi. But at the same time, I would trade Kagutsuchi for any of the other Mangekyo abilities in a heartbeat. Even if you can perform similar things, like if you can probably perform in near Tsukuyomi level Genjutsu with Mangekyo Genjutsu. And you can perform a Kodomatsu Kami, dual Kodomatsu Kami level Genjutsu with just the base Sharingan, but that takes way too much effort. Just give me Kodomatsu Kami. Then again, I guess the freedom and variance that comes with something like Kagutsuchi and Amaterasu in comparison to something like Kodomatsu Kami, and why you probably still want that more, is because of the lack of cooldown period. Kodomatsu Kami had a crazy cooldown period. And while it doesn't, I'll admit, the cooldown period doesn't fully make sense with the timeline that's established for Naruto, at least for Shishui's age, and like, how did he know what he unlock like the Mangekyo at like 3? Based on how the story tells it to us, and like the 10-year cooldown between Kodomatsu Kami. But still, it's different. It's very, very different, and the Six Eyes just can't compete.
You unlock the Susanoo, big chakra monster thing that protects you and has high attack power. It's all pretty simple. To talk about their importance in the story, I'd like to make it clear this is not a dissection on if Naruto or Jujutsu Kaisen has a better narrative. This is going to be me evaluating how important each eye is to the story they're in, and on top of it all, it's my interpretation of it. And I gave it earlier, and I'll give it again, the Sharingan still slams. Don't get me wrong. In terms of the fundamental structure of JJK as we know it, the Six Eyes are super duper necessary. But arguably, Sukuna and Kenjaku, two people who are not Six Eyes wielders, are responsible as well for the narrative JJK as we know it. Our main character in Yuji is fundamentally centered around Sukuna and Kenjaku, two of our most major antagonists, neither of which are Six Eyes wielders. You can literally not have the plot of the manga without the Sharingan. Even if retroactively. Like, obviously from early on, you can have it without it. Like, if you look at, like, what was apparently supposed to happen before Kishimoto invented Sasuke, or was recommended to invent Sasuke, story looks way different. But still, you cannot. It is simply impossible. You cannot even dare try to incorporate the series of Naruto as we know it without the Sharingan. It's too necessary. From Sasuke, to how it influences Naruto's life, to how it influences Sasuke's life, to how it influences Sakura's, to Kakashi's, to Obito's, to Madara's, to everything. The Sharingan is way too important. It slams narratively. Their narrative integration, maybe you could make an argument for the Six Eyes, because it's like more deeply wound into the history of the series. But, like, is it really, though, in comparison to Naruto? Because the Sharingan is still super duper important. Like, the only thing the Sharingan narratively doesn't tie to all too much are the alien god monsters. That's about it. Because they all have Rinnegan. But what is the Rinnegan but a higher form of the Sharingan? Or was the Sharingan but like a descended form of the Rinnegan? Know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. It still seems like an easy slam for the Sharingan for me. I think it clears. Do think I'm a pretty smart guy, but to say I'm a narrative analyst,
I'm not. And I'm not good at narrative analysis either. I've been wrong before and I'll be wrong again. But let's see what Six has to say.
Plus, his genius is a bit of a stretch. I simply read or watch things I enjoy and pick up on the things I pick up on and look into what I find interesting. That being said, it's admittedly pretty hard to start a discussion like this. So let's start it this way. Within their individual stories, the Six Eyes is far more special than the Sharingan. One Six Eyes user can exist at any given time, while the Sharingan is gifted to an entire clan. This rarity is one of the reasons Gojo is so special and unique in his universe, which ties in greatly with his character in almost every way. Gojo has been an anomaly all his life, so much so that him existing and merely being born in the world shattered records. But that's not all attributed to the Six Eyes, as both it and the Limitless technique work to do that. While the Six Eyes do grant Gojo the ability to use his technique like I mentioned earlier, the techniques themselves, mainly the neutral Limitless, is one that physically separates him from the rest of life. And as much as I'd like to talk about Gojo's narrative again, Gojo's narrative isn't the Six Eyes narrative, so I don't really think it's fair to do that. I do, however, think it's fair to talk about fate and how the Six Eyes is a part of the glue that brung the story together.
And ironically enough, unlike the Sharingan with the Six Eyes, with the loss of Satoru Gojo and the lack of reemergence of the Six Eyes, and like Yuta, Kotsu, or anybody else who's alive, at least so far, fate's been broken. The merger can still happen. Kenjaku's gone, but the merger and Kenjaku's ideals are not. So the fate that for so long protected the Six Eyes and Limitless users, now irrelevant, now gone, by the machinations of a mad king. Crazy.
As mentioned in chapter 145, the Tengen, the Star Plasma Vessel, and the Six Eyes are all tied together by fate. Kenjaku tried to stop this fate on numerous occasions, but always failed to do so. When Toji intervened, however, since he was free from cursed energy, he was able to shatter this destiny and set them all on a different path. The Star Plasma Vessel ceased to exist, Tengen was forced to evolve and stabilize, and Gojo, in order to survive, received a power-up that would curse him to be lonely and misunderstood for the rest of his life. All because of his ties to fate through his eyes, this happened, and it's what literally propelled the story to where it is today. Because of this, Gojo looked into building a strong team of sorcerers that can match him, so no one would have to be lonely like him in his strength. Given how the story literally could not happen without the Six Eyes, or at the very least, the Six Eyes played a pivotal role in starting the story, I am going to conclude their importance as necessary. To clarify really quickly, I know Gege could have named them the Five Eyes and they could be red and nothing in the story would really change, but I'm talking about what we're given and how it's all tied in. The Sharingan has a few different...
And I do agree. Once again, the Six Eyes is necessary. It is necessary for the facilitation of the series as we know it. But like, not to the degree the Sharingan is. Well, the Sharingan is more common and the Six Eyes is more unique, and how the Six Eyes plays in the Satoru Gojo's narrative is interesting and impressive. The Sharingan still has better narrative and character integration. Sasuke's not Sasuke without the Sharingan. Itachi is not Itachi without the curse of love born of the Sharingan. The world of Naruto is not the way it is without the Sharingan. It's that important. More important than the Six Eyes. Because the Six Eyes more so, it exclusively affects about three named characters. In Tengen, Kenjaku, and Gojo. Those are the three it affects, and then they have effects on the entire world. Meanwhile, the Sharingan itself affects Sasuke, by proxy Naruto, Obito, Kakashi, Madara, Hashirama, Tobirama. Like, the effects lash out everywhere. The threads of the Sharingan tear through fate itself. So, I'd say the Sharingan is still up there, in spite of the Six Eyes' fantastic narrative integration and how much they tie into fate. And notably, while the fate thing is brought up for the Six Eyes like once, and it's only brought up to show how fate was broken, and we never actually get to see that on screen, really. We never really get to understand the implications of fate, because we never got to see any of the previous cycles due to how JJK is structured. We've seen numerous generations of Sharingan users have drastic impacts on the world of Naruto, and how it's structured, and how it was affected. It's endless, the ramifications of the Sharingan. And once again, just like the Six Eyes, you cannot have Naruto without the Sharingan. At least in my opinion. Let's see what Six Eyes has to say.
ways to look at its importance. I think its factor of multiplying hate is pretty integral to how Sasuke and Naruto have separate journeys in Naruto and helping them grow virtually as far apart as possible. It's also a very nice visual indicator of Sasuke's changing mental state. The Sharingan evolves in response to a major emotional reaction, and Sasuke gets his third tomo immediately after learning Naruto viewed him as a part of his original family and that he'd had to sever a bond that was deeper than he originally thought. The Sharingan is also a great way to continue the cycle of hatred, and with it being this hatred-inducing eye, Naruto overcoming the cycle of hatred and the curse of reincarnation that's been going on for over 1,000 years becomes that much more impressive. This is without mentioning one of the previous reincarnations of Indra and Ashura, Madara and Hashirama, had already gone through this problem. Just like with the Six Eyes and Gojo, it's not fair to attribute all of this to the Sharingan, but that's to say that the same way Jujutsu Kaisen was started by the Six Eyes, the Sharingan play a pivotal role in the beginning of Naruto's story and how that story continues. But not only that, it actively adds to the central theme of the story while being a key part in the narrative of at least 4 of its major characters, which is just an inherent advantage of the Sharingan being less rare than the Six Eyes. That being the case, I'd probably conclude that the Sharingan is the better eye overall. The Six Eyes is definitely more special because of its rarity, like I said, but the Sharingan has far better perception abilities, eye abilities, and is overall more important to the story than the Six Eyes seem to be, although the last one is pretty subjective.
Alright. W video. I agree. Once again, like I said from the beginning, it felt like a little bit of a mismatch. I think the Six Eyes, unfortunately, they kind of get done dirty by being tied to Gojo, and just by being tied to Gojo, they end up being locked away from majority of the series. Like, half of it. And arguably, even when he's unsealed, he doesn't actually exist for that long, despite his massive ramifications. Plus the numerous abilities of the Six Eyes that benefit the Sharingan in comparison to the limited abilities of the Six Eyes, which sort of get tied into the Limitless, which is a completely separate ability. It's unfortunate, but the Six Eyes get slammed in this discussion. However, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave 6 Sharingan. 6 Sharingan in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit the little notification bell. Well, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below, where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks will include the live reaction to the very next chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen. Now, I do thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dago the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members: Wakanda Plays, Greyhound, Akids Void, Astro, Red Wolf 4765, Eternal Flame, and Teen Mitgao. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $5 patrons: Steron, Sean, Panda Goat, Midnight Lord 21, Metal Solid Crisis, Kevin, Ignil, and EHAC1. And I'd like to give a thank you to our $7 member, Autumn Mornings Lazo. And I'd like to give a big thank you to our $10 member, Jay Warrior. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $10 patrons, Joaquin and Idemokami. And I'd like to give a gargantuan thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. And I'd like to give another gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Winter. Along with another juicy thank you to our $25 patron, ChinaDoll09. And I'd like to give a final giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.